This is the most beautiful pose drawing reference I've ever seen.
Hi.
I make this video to record not only my illustration process but also my thoughts and feelings behind it. More importantly, my art journey.
Huh.
I also share what I've learned from my art courses, books, and YouTube videos so maybe you can learn something too. Yup, I did read, enjoy, and get convinced by Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, so this is what I'm doing. On a beautiful January 2022, I came across this photo on Pinterest. Lightning straight to my heart, it was one of the most beautiful pose drawing references I've ever seen in my entire drawing/painting life. The freaking long legs, the leather pants, the platforms. Also look at the light in the left upper arm.
The left upper arm.
You may ask. Yeah, if you look closely, you will see the reflected light. Ever since I studied art, I've always been looking for reflected light everywhere I go. Well, most of the time. When I was in my freshman year and still young and healthy and still able to wake up at 5 a.m., I usually went to my uni by bus. And one of the best things about it was that gentle sunlight that shines through your bus windows. I still remember being so mesmerized by the reflected light on the calf of a girl who sat in front of me on the bus. It was somehow so clamorously beautiful.
Okay, the light, the fashion. Anything else that makes this picture stand out so much as a drawing reference?
Yeah, the foreshortening pose. I wanted and needed to practice drawing foreshortening pose. The more uncommon a perspective is, the more interesting a photo or drawing gets. And foreshortening poses are really challenging for me. What is more, the model, they really hot.
And I've been searching for a while, but still I don't know who they are. If you guys do, please tell me in the comment section below.
Alright, thank you for your answers. Now, let's get into it, shall we?
It took me 5 days straight to finish this artwork, like 90%, but that's still the same with 100% to me, and it's definitely something that is worth celebrating for. And for documentary purpose, I painted this from January 8th to 13th, 2022. It was such a beautiful time of the year when I was able to draw only for the sake of drawing without being judged and evaluated or feeling like my artwork equals my self-worth. I was free. It was only me and my painting and maybe art god, and I think that was the happiest, the most alive I've ever felt in the longest while. Anyway, my process can be divided into 4 steps. 1. Sketch. 2. Flat color. 3. Shade and light. And 4. Details. When I first learned digital painting, I learned it from a few different people on the internet. But these steps is actually what I learned specifically from Marc Brunet. You guys can check out his YouTube channel, which is also called the YouTube Art School. And for me, an art kid who enjoys being self-taught and loves art tutorials since childhood but kind of despises my art school teaching system now, that name is inspiring. Alright, now here's the part that you've been waiting for. Or maybe not. My more than necessarily super detailed process plus my thoughts and feelings while I was painting. I warned you, don't call him TMI. You signed up for this, ladies and gentlemen. So first off, I drew it in my sketchbook because I was and still am more comfortable drawing with pencil and paper than with my drawing tablet. Wakamu.
I just want to say that brand name in Japanese because I made the effort to look up its pronunciation. On for a vote.
Wakomu. Wakomu. Wakomu.
Anyway, I feel like drawing with pencil and paper helps me get a general feel of the pose and its flow in a very natural and magical way somehow. But I got the proportion wrong, which is okay though. And that's why we got to the next step. Initially, I traced over my original sketchbook drawing on Photoshop, but then I just put it aside and tried to sketch digitally from scratch.
I didn't want to copy everything I see in the reference, so I tried exaggerating the pose a little bit by lengthening the legs and slanting them more than they are in the reference. I thought that would make the painting even more interesting somehow. However, this step is one of the most important steps because it's like the foundation of a building. It decides if the drawing looks right or believable enough in terms of anatomy and perspective. Therefore, obviously, I wanted to make sure I wouldn't mess up the perspective. Yeah, and it also took me like 8 or 9 hours to move on to the next step because I'm an indecisive chicken.
You can learn how to exaggerate poses from Procol Figure drawing course.
Get used to being able to exaggerate the gesture. Push the story to be more exciting and more clear to the viewer.
Anyway, I kept looking at my drawing back and forth from different distances in our bedroom for half a day. Thoughts like, I don't think I've practiced drawing figures enough to be able to exaggerate them correctly, or is this even the right proportion, kept popping up in my head.
I also considered asking my fellow artists for feedback, but didn't because somehow I was complicatedly shy, even with my close friends. I don't know why I feel like it's less awkward for me to ask someone for feedback if they're 1, strangers on the internet, or 2, not in the art field like people in my family.
After an eternity of hopeless self-critique,
I decided to trust my gut and ancestors and just went with it.
So next we got step 1B, line art the details, clothes, face and hair. I just proceeded to draw her clothes, face and hair quite roughly.
to have clean line art, I reduced the opacity of the sketch and drew on a new layer on top of it.
For the face, I tried to draw it in a manga-ish way. I don't have my own art style yet, so for now I'm just experimenting with many different art styles that I like, which is like 4 different ones. I think the model looks awfully cool and badass, and it reminds me of those Yakuza mangas. I also wanted to try to simplify the details and not to render too realistically. That's why I thought the manga style would suit this concept. Drawing her shoes was fun for me too because I had only practiced drawing shoes or feet a few times. I kept reminding myself to look at the shoes and think of 3D boxes and not to copy the outlines.
You're training your mind to consider more than just the contours when you're drawing shape.
But now that I look at the footage, I did copy the outlines.
After that, I mapped out the shadow light pattern on her top so I could color it easier later.
Step 2. Base color or flat color.
Filling an area with color or coloring was really satisfying and therapeutic for me. When I color mindfully, I feel like I'm meditating, which I normally can't do very well. So being able to color and getting in the flow was one of the best feelings ever.
What is base color? A base color of an area is the average color of that area. You can also pick that color using your intuition, and generally most color that you pick will do.
Because you can always have your shadows and lights to make up for your bad choices later.
Step 3. Shadow, midtone, and light. After that, I mapped out the shadow part on her legs by blocking some flags on her pants and shoes. I really liked how freestyle the strokes turned out. Okay.
May I have your attention, please?
Because I'm so proud of this step. It looks so good. It looks so 3D. Can you see the reflected light on her abs? Look at her abs. They are so beautiful.
I also changed the background into darker gray to increase the painting's contrast.
Also look at this vibrant orange light.
Next, I painted one clean determined white brushstroke for the light part. And then I just kept filling other areas like the inside part of her top and her arms.
I also had fun playing around and experimenting stuff like making her top
Invisible.
Sometimes by turning off layers, you can encounter a lot of surprises which might boost your creativity or send you down a rabbit hole of wasting time.
Congratulations, you finally got to step 4, details.
From the light shadow pattern I mapped out before, I filled the shadow part first and then the light part, and somehow things started to fall into place magically. And then I added my midtones, and to spice things up a little bit more, I added some texture to the top. At the same time, I tried to place these brush strokes loosely and not to zoom the canvas in too often because I don't want to get lost in details. There's actually a term for this, and it's called brush economy. Like, you try to minimize the brush strokes that you lay down on your painting, and you do that deliberately. You try to produce efficient brush strokes. None of them is unnecessary.
Anyway, I really liked how the texture on her top turned out. It looks crayon-y and mosaic.
Mosaic broken hearts.
And the blues with some hints of purple look nice together too. If you compare these two steps, you might notice that there's a weird grayish blob on the reflected light area on her abs. That's because
Well, I saw some artists put green or olives in the skin. I didn't really understand why, but that was what I was going for. I guess it desaturated the orangeness of the skin and like breathes cool air into an area with too much hotness going on. I think it made the abs look muddy, so I'm not sure what I did is a right decision, but whatever.
Some of my friends in art school once told me that hyperrealism was considered to be boring and not creative academically since every small detail is copied from a photograph, and that statement just stuck in my head since that day.
Therefore, I tried to conclude some stylized brushstrokes for the folds on her pants, and I'm so proud of it.
Actually, I learned this from Nico, the author of this manga. Her art style is really pretty. About hyperrealism, now that I have a lot of time to think about this certain opinion on hyperrealism, I feel like if you're a hyperrealism artist and you love what you do artistically, that's all what matters. Anyway, here are some mental health moments of mine because I feel like mental health is not an overrated topic and I want to record some of my thoughts and fear to look back when I get older.
Thoughts I had when I was painting this were, will people like my drawing? Will I like my drawing? I always know I shouldn't let my attention go outwards, but I couldn't stop my thoughts. I envisioned how I would write my Facebook caption when I post my art, and what would I do if people's reaction did not meet my expectations? I don't even meet my own expectations. My thoughts tired me out. I felt less creative because I cared about what people think about my art. But the point is, my mind wouldn't let me stop doing so. I felt like social media gradually turned me into a narcissistic, look at me person, as if my EQ had not already been low from the start. And now that I write it all out, I think I find myself some solutions. Be aware of my thoughts, turn off Facebook and Instagram likes, and maybe practice some meditation. And when I tend to light up the mood, I'm gonna tell you a little story. At one point, my brother just passed by where I was sitting and drawing and commented, she looks like Slenderman. And then I was like, what is Slenderman? And then I looked Slenderman up on Google and I can hear it.
Hey yo, let's move on to the second most fun part, coloring the hair and the face. Cringe alert! Before you guys cringe, let me ask you a question. Have you ever fallen in love with your drawing?
I don't know about you guys, but when I draw something that I'm really passionate about, I tend to put all of my mind and heart into it. And there's this burning desire inside me to sculpt the face as beautiful as I am ever able to the point where I can even fall in love with them. Like when you read manga or something and you samp over these 2D characters so much. But this time it might be you who create them. Cringe alert. For real. Here's a record of me spurting out all of my desire while sounding drunk AF because I felt so high when I was painting that set. I loved painting faces, by the way.
Yeah, I want to paint her like really hot. Hot enough for me to become gay for her.
Anyway, yeah, of course, I wanted to paint her face as hot as possible, but can I actually do that? Let's find out.
In that moment, I thought I did a good job.
Also, I tried to stylize her face in a manga-ish way. I think she looks pretty dang hot. You slap, girl.
Now, a year later, I feel nothing much. I don't feel as proud. I don't think that she is as attractive as this boy. Well, the artist that drew him obviously is really skillful, especially in drawing ikemen/handsome men. But that's okay. It's absolutely fine. I tried. That's what matters.
By the way, did you guys agree that when someone's eyes turn golden or tea-colored because of the sunlight, it is so beautiful? And I'm also so impressed with people or manhwa or manga characters' white eyelashes.
I'm so proud of myself trying to pronounce these words in their respective languages.
漫画
漫画展漫画家
manga
In Vietnamese, it is nothing similar. We call it truyện chanh. Wait, truyện chanh.
Anyway, white eyelashes are so ethereal and sophisticated. And these are what we was trying to steal and put in here. My painting. Anyway, have another mental health moment here as I was listening to Ahmed's podcast and found out it was so therapeutic and mentally relatable as an artist. I also painted for 20 minutes and then spent the next 20 getting depressed and wondering why I paint so slow. Alright, art tips time. I learned this from Ahmed. The highlight of an object doesn't always have to be pure white. Like you can up your painting game by giving your highlight a super light shade of a color. It will still work and might be even better. In my case, I used pastel sky blue for the highlight on her shoe as it is reflected from the sky. Also, please look at this beautiful ambient light on her pants, which is also reflected from the sky.
Look at me and my art vocabulary.
Isn't it so beautiful and so sky blue and so crystal clear? So now we get to the fun part of the leather pants on her long legs. The electric wire on her pants, LMAO, or LMOA, in case you're a TXT fan. In Vietnamese, we call those strings yay nhợ. I don't know why I found that word yay nhợ so fun and witty. I thought the strings was such an edgy detail and they added so much more personality to her pants. Oh, it was just me pretending to be my favorite artsy YouTuber, Ashley, aka Best Dressed, and making fashion comments.
I've been waiting to get to paint this part for so long, and I think that it actually looks pretty cool until I added the strings highlights. Well, eventually I decided to get rid of most of them. Anyway, here comes the final result.
Finally, I finished my illustration. This was such a rewarding feeling to finish up your painting. I have many artworks which I don't like the way they turned out, so both liking the results and enjoying the process was an indescribably great feeling. I remember sitting in front of my laptop and drawing, and my family members would pass by and ask me, "Oh, you're still trying this after days?" And that was when my consciousness about my painting speed started kicking in, and I kept wondering, why do I paint so slow? But now that I look back at this thought of mine, after months of being depressed, well, being able to paint is already a big win for me. And then I even finished it, a triumph. In addition, I even spent days and weeks writing down my thoughts and organizing them and recording them, trying to make a video out of them. Triumphs. Oh, hello there. I don't know how you managed to listen to someone ranting about their art and mental health for like 15 minutes straight, but thank you so much, and I got you a flower.
I also don't know if there's actually any person who would watch this, and after almost a year of editing this, I can't help but think whether what I'm doing is meaningless or not. But even so, I really want to make this video when I'm still young and healthy and still in love with art. At least it would be my diary of me and a friend of mine called art. Besides, I want to embrace this little happiness of mine for actually trying this a little bit every day and 5 days straight and not giving up and keeping editing this video.
Lastly, only now that I made art did I understand that there might be thousands of small decisions an artist have to make to actually finish an illustration. Therefore, I want to appreciate the effort of all of us artists, including myself. Yay! And admire my favorite artworks more, for they was finished.